Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with this week's vlog. We're going to do the vlogs a little earlier this week because of the Christmas holiday, and because today I'm going to go into what the last of the mini-series of holidays and autism and how that affects everybody. I'm going to go a little early into that because, and that's what leads us into that, is because things change and things are unexpected and things just happen. And as part of autism and having to deal with the changes and the challenges that are brought forth in our journey that we sometimes don't expect, things do change, plans change, things are different, things are not normal. Um, Life goes on. We move on from those things. We'll get into some of that also in the other half of the vlog this week. But for this part, we're going to focus basically on Christmas. I did share with you today in my blog post, my future blog. If you have not, check my link in the bio or visit DustinsDynastyUSA.com. It'll be on the top of the homepage where you can read about my experiences of anxiety and waiting for Christmas. All that anxiety, in the end, it isn't worth it. But to explain that to a child with autism, and that's definitely something that is definitely a challenge. Growing up, I go through the article, briefly speaking of the article. Growing up, I lived in fear of Santa Claus. Um, just having fear and wondering if I've been a good boy when the world and society, especially in the 1990s, made us to think that we had to be good little boys and girls or people to be who we are and celebrate Christmas, and that if the theory was always the old classic theory was you were going to get a lump of coal, and for me, I didn't want to get a lump of coal, especially there was, uh, you know, children's shows on at the time, on cartoons and when there was actually TV and not all the web stuff there is now. But that work where children did get lumps of coal, and so that kind of driven fear into me because as always, autistic people take things literally, and so I lived in constant, and with all the changes and a lot of people, during the holidays, it was always a challenge to, try to get that peace of calm, that peace of mind. Uh, Having a host of diagnoses and being on a host of medications growing up until I got the right cocktail at the age of 15, I never really got to enjoy Christmas or like it, or, I always lived in anxiety. I was always in worry if Santa Claus had been good to me or even understood the whole concept of that. That was just a whole big question there. And, whatever it is you want to believe, you can believe. But, for me, that was a lot of questioning, and it's a discovering that everybody has to take on for theirself. But, I lived in fear sometimes and many sleepless nights growing up, especially in the younger years, up until probably I was an adult, that, I lived in fear of being good and worrying if I was being good. And when we really think of it literally about being good, we thought we had to be good all year. And as autistics, we're not always what society thinks we're good, and we always think, they always think they're watching us, or just a lot of things, that the songs tell us, in music, that really paint this picture that you constantly have to live your life in fear and not be not be able to be who you want to be or be what you want to enjoy the holiday. Um, as far as the holiday itself, Christmas vacation, I felt very blessed on Christmas vacation to have a vacation, and because I just want to say, because let's think about it for a minute, because especially those years that were school was hard and I was not getting the services in school that I needed, having that long extended break was a relief of sorts, because for about 3 or 4 months, I had to live in a very challenging time of school, and school was challenging for me to say the least, especially the years again that I was not getting the proper accommodations that were necessary for me to thrive in learning. And to go through those, and then on top of that, at school, when you're in that near that point, you're experiencing changes that it's of the schedule of the day, of the routine, that are abnormal and are not what that are not part of what you're expecting. I mean, you have some notice, but some notice you don't. And things can be changing, and there's behaviors, and there's other people having behaviors, and everybody's sort of excited for the holiday, but you're not, because you're kind of in a relief that you just went quiet, and you sometimes you couldn't. Growing up, I had my dad had we were kind of a blended family. We still are in some ways, um, although it's very minimal this year again. But we had to have big holidays, and Christmas Eve was one of those where we had to get with people that sometimes we didn't talk to for a very long time, and not really know and not really be familiar with. And so a lot of uncertainty, a lot of anxiety came with that. Came with being, unknown of what to expect at a holiday gathering, while being amped up and being anxious about that gathering, and then have to come home and sleep before Christmas because we were told to sleep and stay awake and stay asleep till morning, which sometimes didn't happen. And then, but then Christmas Day was usually pretty calm because I went to my maternal grandparents, who I loved dearly, and treat me like their own child pretty much, somewhat to a degree, and made sure I had nice gifts, and we were fed a fine meal, and it was definitely a blessing. That day was a blessing, except for sometimes I had to go to my other grandmother's, and that was challenging too at times, because we had to interrupt the middle of the day and go to another family member's house, and sometimes it wasn't always pleasant to be cooped in a little apartment somewhat similar to the size I have today, in my house. It's kind of built the same. It was built the same. So kind of like that expectation that, you know, uh, you had to all crowd in there again and do all that and not have nowhere to go and had to be sitting still. That was a lot of anxiety, and then you could come back and then a lot of moving around, which I wasn't all keen on moving around and not being able to cope, and all along being undiagnosed. That did squelch down over the years as my paternal grandparents uh, got ill, and later, did not have the big Christmases that we once expected. And, they eventually are no longer with us, and we're estranged from my father's side of the family. So that was kind of a relief in a way, that we didn't have to do all that stuff that we expected to, as we did back then. Um, Nowadays, we just then we still had my maternal grandparents, which was a little easier because we only went to that house. We didn't go to everybody's house. Eventually, my aunt and uncle died. So my aunt died, then my uncle died, and so we didn't really have to go there. So it gradually got where we could manage Christmas, and it could be easy. We just went to one house, or we all went to one house, and then my grandparents died. They both died in the same year, 5 years ago. Um, so that was a big thing. Like Christmas wasn't the same, and it hasn't been the same for 5 years. But it's definitely and especially the last two with COVID. But Christmas is definitely more manageable. So as I said, schedules are different this year, because Christmas is on a Saturday. We're going to be going. I'm going to be doing virtual tomorrow, virtual services through my day program tomorrow and Monday. So that's going to be different, and keeps me on my toes a little bit, and keeps me at the computer, even though I know I shouldn't be. Um, but that's just how that realm is, and just getting to have a little intimate gathering tomorrow night, and I want to appreciate that, and you know, we would have went to church, but because of COVID, of COVID fears and mass gathering and tightness and all together, we're going to choose to worship virtually tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting. It's going to be unique and different because I've not done that yet. So hopefully it's not as bad as it could be, but it's what the world is these days, unfortunately. So I'm hoping to have a good Christmas. I don't know what I'm getting for Christmas, and that's a little. I'm not anxious, but I'm just kind of like curious. I was told it was stuff I could use, so kind of being an adult, I kind of understand that. So I'm truly thankful and truly blessed to be home this Christmas and have my own home this Christmas. Um, Christmas Day is going to be a challenge, a little of a challenge, but I'm ready for it. And as long as I prep and take my sensory tools and be sure to have my safe room to go to if I need to, or have my safe space uh, to decompress and get into my thought, get regrouped from any stressful situation. But I don't personally feel there'll be any a stressful situation. And then I'll have a couple days to recoup before having to return back to somewhat of a normal programming for a couple weeks, and then go back to work in a couple weeks. So that's where we stand today. And I want to wish you all a Merry Christmas from the Dustin's Dynasty community. As always, you can like this video. Be sure to tap that notification bell if you want to hear more notifications. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Be sure to give me a like or a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web at dustisdynasty.com, USA.com, dustisdynastyusa.com, where today I have a post about Christmas that you would like you to read. Also, we have on Pinterest and TikTok at Dustin's Dynasty ASD, which I hope to become more active and work on more in the new year. Also, this vlog we will be converted into a podcast and be streamed on many platforms, including Spotify at Dustin's Dynasty ASD. I want to thank you again for listening. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.